Hello and welcome back to my Flosstube. My name is Bluesy Jazz. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's talk about some cross stitch. Before we get into that, a little bit of a life update. I noticed in my last video when I talked about Indy, I didn't tell you who Indy was, so there were some comments of people asking, well, what is an Indy? Indy is our golden retriever puppy. We got her in March. She's about 5 months right now. Very energetic, very full of life, very excitable. It took us 3 months, but she is finally sleeping through the night. For the most part, she's still getting up early, but we'll take it instead of getting up every few hours throughout the night. So that's amazing. Finally able to sleep a little bit better. So yeah, maybe at the end of the video I'll pop her in here and she'll say hi. She's adorable. She's a very pretty puppy. So getting into cross stitch, let's talk about a couple things that I did besides actual stitching. The first thing being I finally got my hands on and completed and bobbinated and organized an entire full set of DMC. So this is what it looks like. I have one of these, those like cube organizers. So I have one of those, and then I have one of the bins that go in them. And it fits within 6 bobbin cases. And I used my Cricut to cut out some vinyl labeling each box. And then each box, all the rows have the numbers on them as well for each row. And then they are beautifully full. You can fit 6 in each of these little slots if you smush them together, but I specifically only put 5 because if I'm pulling them out, I don't want to, it can be kind of troublesome to pull them out when they're smushed in there. So I purposefully did 5 in each, which I think made it so that I have like 1 more of these cases than if I were to use 6, but that's fine. I don't care. It fits very perfectly in something like this. There's even room for one here. I'm considering adding a 7th one in here with the like variegateds and the light effects and some of their metallics just to have. There's room for it, so but I'm not too pressed to do that because I honestly cannot picture me using those for anything. So that would be a completionist thing more than actual need. So this is my full set. I spent hours winding bobbins. As most of us know, there's between 400 and 500 skeins. I only had about half of this done before I started working on it this month. So I spent a very long time bobbinating, but it's done and I never have to do it again. At least big chunks like this. So I'm very excited that this is done. It's organized very beautifully and I'm just very, very happy. This means I can start working on my full coverages again because I was using, I was switching to moving to using a full set like this to work on my full coverages. So my full coverages had been on hold for quite a while. So I'm able to pull those out. They were also on hold because of Indy, but she's starting to get better on my cross stitching, so I'm more able to bring them out around her. So yay DMC. I guess they go like this. I've been holding them upside down, but they're very, very pretty. And inside of the boxes, it's just kind of very aesthetically pleasing to look at them. Another thing that I did that is not strictly stitching is I created a calendar for myself. We'll see how long I stick to this, but I created a weekly schedule and then I'll figure out which projects go for which week. So I made every Monday Mirabilia Monday. I do have several Mirabilia projects. I also, I don't know, I can't recall if I did for sure. However, I personally would consider a lavender and lace on a Mirabilia Monday. So it's possible that I did choose those, and they change on a monthly basis. So Mary Be on Monday, and then I did full coverage Friday. And so every Friday within the month, that full coverage is focused on. That leaves Thursdays are for my smalls, and that's because I go stitch with friends on Thursday nights, and so having a small project to focus on is the best thing. So smalls will be focused on Thursday. That leaves 4 days of the week for a focus project, and that would be starting on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. So they get 2 weekend days, assuming I have time on those weekend days, but that's neither here nor there. I also decided that every month I would have one of those focus pieces be English paper piecing, and that gives me time to work on my Christmas projects and my personal quilt projects. I also decided that 1 week out of the month there would be whichever full coverage project I chose for that month, it would also be focused on. And then lastly, the Celtic seasons, whatever season was in season, would have a week as well. That would give me a total of 12 days stitching on that project, plus the new start day if it falls outside of that, to work on those. And the spring one that I did, I stitched on for approximately 14 days. So I might be just a little bit shy of finishing those, but I might be able to do it because they do have weekend days involved. So we'll see if I need to add in more time to try and correct that and get them focused on and get them to where I want them by the end of the year, or by the end of their seasons. I may need to, but I will adjust that as needed, because maybe I don't need all those days. And with the schedule, I have some pieces on here. Maybe they'll be finished. I really, really want to get Lady Justice done. I think that's my primary focus of what I want to get done. We'll see if I can. But with all the time I have planned for her, maybe I don't need all of it and I can substitute something else in her time. So this is kind of the schedule of kind of what it looks like. So we're in June. I obviously started this. I made this on the 12th, effective the 13th. So the 13th was a Monday. So every Monday, Lady Justice, the 20th, Lady Justice, the 27th, Lady Justice. Every Thursday, it says small, except for on a date where it's a new start. So Celtic summer, the first day of summer is June 30th. So that takes precedent, or that takes priority. And then Fridays are Color for Cats. And then over here, you'll see that's the weekend that the full coverage is focused on. And the EPP is in there as well. And I did go ahead and fill it out for the rest of the year so that all of my projects get a good amount of stitching on them. I also made this chart back here, which is just my priority list for my smalls. So every month, Scary Apothecary is first and foremost, because I have one of those that I want to do every single month. So I'm going to start with that. Next would be my Secret Garden. We'll get into more about why I didn't finish that this month. There's a little one that I'm making called Starry Night. I didn't bring that to show you. It's just a plastic canvas. It's a miniature. It's not important to me really, so it's not really a whip in my mind. But I do want to get it done, and then it just kind of goes down from there. Of what my priorities are for my smalls, what constitute a small for me is it's not big. Shocker. A small is not big, but it's not like an 18 by 27. So my Secret Garden, some might not consider a small because it is like a full size 8 by 10 project. But to me, it's motifed, it's not full coverage, it just feels like a small to me, so I categorized it as a small. I obviously get final say in what I consider a small versus anybody else, so that's just how it's gonna go. So I'm excited to try and stick to this. I think it would be good for me to do so. just because it'll give me a good amount of time to focus on things. I will note that next month, obviously, would be the first full month that I follow this. However, you'll notice 1 through 10, I am on vacation next month. We are going to Indiana to visit my family, and so it'll be nice to go up there, but obviously I can't stick to a schedule when I have absolutely no idea what my days are going to look like. They're most likely going to be smalls. We are driving, so I will have some time in the car, but I don't know really what that's going to look like. But I did plan the rest of the month out according to the regular schedule. So that being said, let's look at what I did this month and what I have planned for the rest of this month and into next month. So, like I said, my first priority has really been Lady Justice. I do want to get a significant amount of work done on her, because I wanted to hang her up with my diploma. I want to get her framed and hung up with my diploma from when I graduated. I have my frame for, it has, I have a frame for my diploma, and then I have a frame for a photo of myself at graduation with my tassel, and they're both like black matted with mahogany, with a mahogany frame. I'm sure it's not real mahogany, it's just fake mahogany, but whatever. And so I want to get her done, frame her in the same style, and then have them like next to each other. So if you're not familiar, this is Lady Justice by Mary Julia. I am doing her on We the People fabric by Fabric Flare. And it is a 32 count even weave. And it's the preamble to the Constitution. And I did get quite a bit done on her in the last just week alone. Since in the last week, I have finished this blue part of her sash, the sash across her chest, the sword, and just today I did all of this green up here, and I started, you can see a little bit on her skin. Hopefully tonight I should have most if not all of her face done. The face shouldn't take very long, and I think I'm going to work on her crown and her blindfold and her hair next, and then I'll go out and work on her arm and the rest of the sash that goes this way, and then the top half of her torso and arms and everything will be done. And that would be a great goal for the end of this month. It's not unreasonable. I have how many more days to work on her? 1, 2, 3. I have maybe 6 or 7 days to work on her within the next month, so I think that will be a great place to get to. Again, just to see her. So I'm gonna work up and do her head, and then I'll work this way and do that. And then I'll work my way down. I really like the way that she's coming out. The sword is a little funky, but that's what happens when you work with Krynic and metallics and then you try to outline them. They kind of just look a little weird. Any of these blank spots you see here and on the sword, it's the beads, so those will go in at the very end. So she'll look a little empty until those get in. Something that I made, well, first off, let's talk about this hoop that I have her in. Recommend, 10 out of 10. One, it's very large. There's a large working space here. It's also thin. I don't know if you ever worked with hoops before where like they're thick, and so ending threads at the sides can be really, really difficult. I'm not saying that's gone, but it's mitigated. It's also mitigated by the fact that it's a very large working area, so if you're working in the center, you're not over by the sides anymore. It's also rectangular shaped, which opens up the surface area, and it's also sits in my stand a lot better because my stand clamps it up here. This is a Nurge, N-U-R-G-E hoop, and it's the largest size that they have. I will probably be getting at least a couple more of these in the future because I absolutely love this. And so I made for whatever project I'm working on throughout the week, like my focus, my full coverage, I made just a little pouch. It's just lined with yellow, and it's like really thick and padded, and this just slides right in, and I can just set it there. And then I still have the actual project bag for the, you know, the pattern and the flosses and stuff. I just don't like leaving projects laying out in the open because I have pets. I have 2 cats and a dog, and so there's always, you know, animal hair floating around everywhere, as well as, you know, cats will be cats and lay on things, dogs will be dogs and get into things. So, and my stuff typically recently has been staying out in the living room, so it gets put in a pouch and it gets put in the bin for safekeeping. And I really like it. I had made, this was my prototype. It's just lined with some light purple. I only used thicker padding on one side, and it didn't make it enough. This one's with a zipper, which is fine, except for I tried these zipper stoppers, but I didn't account for like how much like width it would take off my ability to get the hoop inside of it. And so it's a little bit, it does work, but it's a little tight getting the hoop in there with the project on it. So it was a good learning experience. I also made these similar to how I make my project bags, whereas with this I did a completely different technique, and I actually liked this a lot better. It was very easy. So 10 out of 10 to myself. I learned lessons and I adapted on it. I'm not the world's best sewer. I make stuff up and do things how I think they would work, and it did. So I'm very proud of myself. So all of that for Lady Justice. She's coming along great. I had mentioned about my secret garden project, and I may have hit a little bit of a snag, literally, with her, or with it. I had mentioned last month that I wanted to focus on this to finish this over the past month, and it was absolutely one of my goals. There was just one weekend where I was going to sit and I was going to work on nothing but The Secret Garden by Tiny Modernist, and I absolutely love this pattern. I have a friend who absolutely loves this pattern, and I want to finish it. I want to get it hung up, and I want it to be hung up in my office at work. But I literally hit a snag. I had stitched a motif, and that was all well and good until I noticed it was shifted over. Well, I had stitched, I think, 2 motifs. I had stitched, where was I at? Let's see, I have this one done. I stitched these 3 down here, and they were all shifted over too far, so I needed to rip them all out and move them. I am a little bit of a stickler for pattern perfect in certain cases, and on something like this I am. And so I wasn't careful. I was using my scissors, and I cut my fabric. Oops, that's the back. Let's look at the front. I cut the fabric. No, it's gonna be very difficult to see. So I took this to a friend, and Sheila, and she knows a little bit more. She's a little more educated than I am. She's been with the Embroiderers Guild of America for a very long time, and asked her how to fix it, and she was just like, well, stitch over it, put your initials there or something. So that's definitely an idea. And then a couple days later, I went to meet at the library with the Embroiderers Guild, and one of the members there, I had told her what happened, and she said to bring it the next time I see her, and she'll see if she can actually fix it. So we'll see. I'm supposed to see her next weekend, but I actually just spoke with my dad earlier today, and I'm going to be going down to visit him next weekend, so I won't be able to go to the library to see her, so I'll just shoot her a quick message. And then I'm not going to be at the library the next weekend because that's when we leave on vacation, so it will be at least another month before I even stitch on this at all again. And very much the answer that Bernadette's going to give me is the exact same thing that Sheila said, which is to just stitch my initials there, cover it up, extend the motif or something, which is really sad. I obviously, like, I'm not going to throw away this much work. I started this at the beginning of this year, so this is 6 months of stitching on this off and on. And I am so close to being done that I'm not going to give up on this for one minor imperfection. The one thing I'm just worried about is I don't want this to become worse and become an issue when finishing and framing. Like when I'm working on it in the hoop, I don't want that to agitate it. So I just want to try and fix it to the best of my ability, to the best of the ability of the people that I know. Make friends who know stuff. That's all I can recommend. So I will let you guys know how this goes the next time I see you. Hopefully, actually, I might still not have an answer for you by the next time I film. It depends on if I film in July or not. I'm so sad. I wanted this to be done. I really wanted it to be done, and now I have to wait at least a couple more months before it'll be done. So, yeah. If you have any tips or any videos you recommend, or blog posts or anything, please feel free to shout down in the comments. Let me know what I am not ashamed to use someone else's expertise to help myself. People are a wonderful resource, so I want to use them. That's the best way to learn in a craft like this, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. All right. So my small Scary Apothecary. I'm not going to go through all of them that I've done. I will go through the one that I'm working on and the last one I finished, because I don't remember if you saw that one or not. I think you did, but just in case. Let me get them all out here. There's a bunch to go through. I think this was the last one that I did. All right, so the last one that I finished in May. Broomstick Fuel by Hands On Designs. I love this series so much, and I am going to tell you that it is cursed. It is cursed as hell. I now have 5 of them finished. My 6th is in progress. This is Broomstick Fuel all stitched up. I mentioned how I stitch with some friends on Thursday nights. We stitch at our local Panera, which we are rapidly outgrowing. There's a bunch of us that go. And, okay, so backtrack. Hold on. Last November, we went up to visit family in Indiana, and I brought this project with me. It was in my bag that I brought for cross stitching, and when I got home, I couldn't find it. Sorry. Hope we're still recording. When I got home, I couldn't find it. And I was devastated because I had 1 or 2 of them done at that point. Obviously, it had all of the floss, all of the fabric, all of the patterns, all the Kreinik, and that's not cheap. Also, the time spent working on those, I was absolutely upset. I was like kicking literally my bag across the room, just absolutely upset that I lost it. I went through that bag backwards and forwards. I opened a case with we took the train, we took Amtrak. I opened a case with a lost item thing with Amtrak. And I was so upset because I thought I'd lost them forever. Until I went digging in I was in my bag and I noticed that the front pouch felt a little heavy, and it was in a zipper pouch that I never go into and completely forget exists because I never keep anything in it, and there was the entire project. And so I was very, very happy. I was so relieved to find it. Well, forward to this past Thursday, we were stitching at Panera. I leave, I come home, I realize I don't have my project with me. And I'm starting to freak out a little bit again. Obviously, I just had it at Panera. I was literally stitching on it, so it couldn't, like, there was only a limited number of places it could be. And my husband checked my car, he couldn't find it in my car, so I called Panera. They were like, yeah, we still have it. So I went back and got it. But I swear this project is trying to run away from me. I will power through. I will get it done, and it will hang on my wall for Halloween. But this is the one that I'm currently working on, and that is Snail Slime. And it's a little hard to make out, but it's Take a Slug. And look at the cute little slugs at the bottom. I think they're so cute. This one has taken me a little bit longer than any of the others, simply because I had to rip out these 3 letters. They were over too far, and like I put a stitch here that wasn't supposed to be there and ripped that out. But now we're going, we're good, and I'm working my way kind of typewriter style through the banner. And then this down here I don't think will take too long to stitch up. I love these patterns, but I will say that I've had some issues with them. I don't want to sound like someone who's super complainy or doesn't like hands-on design, because I absolutely do. I love their patterns. I plan on doing so many of their patterns. I absolutely love them. But I just have issue with the way these are charted, simply because, and I get that there are mistakes in patterns. A symbol gets switched to what it shouldn't be. I get that. I can totally get behind that. Like, I don't care. But when something is charted and there's a symbol in a chart, I don't like that that symbol can stand for different things based on where it is in the chart. So for example, we'll do this one. Spider leg, serving size 8. This chart for the inner border and for these flowers use the exact same symbol. However, the inner border uses the orange Krynic, and this used the Classic Colorworks Pumpkin Harvest. Now, I will say that the chart itself, it has the triangle, the symbol, and then it says Pumpkin Harvest, and then it says, or this for wherever it is. For how these are spaced, they're like in 3 columns. So my brain sees this and doesn't move on. And that's on a few of these, or at least 2 of them. Or where it's in the instructions that it's a different symbol. For example, on the one that I'm currently working on, these are all cross-stitch pattern or cross-stitch symbols. Even these larger Smyrna crosses, it's just a group of 4 cross-stitch symbols. But it has the same cross-stitch symbol as what's in here. And in the instructions, it says 4 bubbles above this use equivalent Krynic, and that they are Smyrna crosses. And that the 4 groups of 4 are larger Smyrna crosses. I just think I don't like the charting of it. As someone who works on these, talking to other people, hanging out and chilling, it's kind of frustrating, and it's really easy to miss and mess up. So that's my one critique with these patterns, that could have been charted very differently. I mean, I personally don't think there was any reason to chart these bigger smear crosses as for a group of 4 cross stitch symbols, especially when other charts actually drew out the cross in like a back stitching style, which was indicative of the specialty stitch. So I just wanted to put that out there, because it's not just like it happens once or twice. I've had issues with several of these where I've accidentally missed something because it's just in the instructions, or it's that example with the Kreinik where it's just to the side. So I just wanted to say my piece. Like I said, I love Kathy Alberman. I love her designs. I love hands-on designs. I love, you know, what they stand for, and I mean no ill will. It's just my honest critique of at least this series of patterns. Next, let's talk about Colorful Cat. This is the project that got me back into cross stitching over a year ago. I worked, and it was a kit, and I worked it on the Ada that it came with. I worked a majority of the pattern on that Ada, and then decided I didn't like the Ada, I didn't like working on it anymore, and I was done with it. So I restarted it. This is Colorful Cat. It's charted in this instance by Joyce Sunday. I think this might be stolen art. I see this by a lot of different designers kind of all over Amazon. This is before I kind of knew about that sort of thing. So Colorful Cat. Love the pattern, love the photo, but I didn't like it on 14 count Ada. I don't like 14 count Ada, or at least not stiff kit Ada for sure. So I am restarting this. I'm doing it 1/1 on 32 count. And I am doing it extreme cross country, which isn't particularly difficult for this pattern because it's block color. So, all right, there's some black, and you know, move on. So this is where I've gotten to. This is my full coverage for the week. Let me bend this back. This is my full coverage for the month. And so this past Friday, I did the black down here. I had gotten some of this done, but it was wrong, so I ripped it out and just redid this section down here. So it'll get some more love. Maybe by the end of the month, the black will be done. There's not a ton of any one color in this pattern, except for maybe this blue. I think that might have the most. But the black, I have the entire first page done. The second page has some here on the nose, a little bit at the eye, and then you start working down this side border, and there's a little bit down here. So I think the next thing I'm gonna do, the way this is broken up in pages is like it's right here, and then right here, and then across here. So I'm gonna do the little bit of black down here, and then I'll do this page over here, and go down. And then I'll just go down this last row of pages. We'll see if I can get it done. My goal for the entire year is to get 2 colors done. So it would be the black, and the red is the next color in line. I also want to change the color that I'm using for the darkest red, because in DMC, and even in the kit floss that came with it, which is well thrown away by now, these colors were pretty much identical. So I think I'm gonna make the red, the dark red, like a shade darker. Now that I have a full set, I can just look and eyeball that and figure it out. So I'm gonna make that I'm not gonna do that one as charted. I'm gonna make it a little bit darker so it'll actually stand out as a different color. I just have to figure out what that will be and write it down to remember it. Obviously black is 310, so that's easy to remember off the top of my head, but yeah. That's Colorful Cat, and just as a reminder, this is where we're starting with. I like cats. I have 2. One's name is Ricky. He's a black cat. And the other one's name is Percy. He's a tabby. He's a larger cat. He's literally twice the size as Ricky, but Ricky's a really tiny cat. He is 13 and a half years old. I've had him for 13 years and he is only 7 pounds, so he's really tiny. And trust me, he can eat. He likes to eat, but he just never grows. He never grew big and strong, but I love him. I think the last project to talk about is English paper piecing. And I didn't get any work done on my personal quilt this month, and that's fine. I don't really mind that. But I did get, I believe since I saw you, I did get a little bit more work done on this, the Christmas piece. So this is where we're at now. I'm thinking I at least got some more of this cream in. I honestly don't think I did too much work on this, but I like how it's turning out. I got bored going in circles, so I started doing the edges. There's only one more row after this, and I'm pretty excited. I already know how I'm gonna finish it and how that all is gonna work. I'm actually gonna use the same stuff. I don't know what quilting taboos are. I don't know what I'm allowed to use, what I'm not allowed to use. I know what I'm going to use. And to make this bag and to make it as stiff but as padded and firm as I used, or as firm as I made it, I used 2 interfacings layered together. I used 808 craft fuse, which is what I use in most of my project bags. These are rather thin, but they're firm-ish, but they're not very padded. And they also can crinkle over time. So I'm working on that. I'm working to improve. And one thing I did to improve was I layered that with 987F, which is I think it's technically for quilting. It's pretty padded, and that's what's only in this project bag. And you see how this one is like really flimsy, but it's thicker and more padded. So I layered the 2 of those together, and I like how firm and padded this is. So I'm going to use this same layering technique to finish these because they're, you know, they're for tables. So I'm going to take this finished piece, I'm going to layer the 808 craft fuse on it, adhere it, well, obviously from this way, and then I'm going to do the fuse, trim off the edges, put it on my backing, and do the cheatsy backing binding thing to finish it off, and I think that'll be perfect. So looking forward to that. I think these are really cute. And I do rather enjoy English paper piecing. I really do. Oops, that's going in the wrong bag. That's all the progress I have. I do want to mention that I am starting to try and kit up for next year. I want to eventually be 1 year ahead. I want to have all of my pieces kitted up for 2024, or sorry, for 2023 by the end of 2022. So some pieces that I have planned are, I don't know if I can show you or list them. I'll at least tell you what they are. So one of them, oops. One of them is the Flip It Months by Lazy Kate. Those were gifted to me by some friends, and I do want to work on them as the month goes. So I'll work January and January, February and February. I'm not gonna do them 1 month ahead so that they're done by the month. I'm gonna work them in the month. And those will basically replace my Scary Apothecary at the top of my priority list because I'll work those monthly. I want to start Celtic Christmas by Lavender and Lace. Now I have all of the Celtic seasons and I'm starting those this year. I also want to do the Celtic Christmas, and then I'll have a complete collection of all the Celtics. I also want to do the Hogsmeade poster by Silver X Stitches on Etsy. You've probably seen that pattern before. It's like a Visit Hogsmeade, and it's a very color blocking type full coverage poster. I'm very excited to start that. And then, and I obviously I don't have pictures for any of these to kind of pop in right now. I don't own them, well, except for the months. And then the last cross stitch project that I have planned right now, I could add within the next, I want to be settled on these within the next month or two, is Girl in Shire by Maya Stitch. And it's a very, very cute picture of a girl sitting, looking out the Hobbit door from Lord of the Rings. And and it's adorable. And I want to make her, she's a brunette. I think I want to try and make her a redhead to be myself. I am a bit of a, I don't know if you can tell by the different projects I have ongoing at any given time, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and I have a Star Wars one that's mainly for my husband, but I don't mind watching them. So, and the last project that I want to start next year is something out there for me, because I am not much of a quilter. Yes, I'm doing and venturing into English paper piecing, but I'm not really a machine quilter. But I want to do the Project of Doom quilt, which, if you are not familiar, it is a Harry Potter quilt that was originally released and worked on in 2011, and it was like, I don't know if it was revamped or more blocks were added in 2015, and there's also a bunch of community submitted blocks, and so you can kind of take the original pattern and what was originally released, which also has variants to them, some of them, and you can also substitute ones from the community, and you can add more if you want. So that's actually what I'm doing. The original quilt called for 30 different blocks, and I added an extra row, so there is an additional 5, plus they have some that go around the outside as accents. So the overall theme of the quilt is a bookshelf, and it's like a magical bookshelf from Harry Potter. So it has Dumbledore's glasses are sitting next to some books, and there's potion bottles, and the Sorting Hat, and Crookshanks, and it's just a bunch of magical items and sometimes people and creatures throughout the quilt. And each and every block is different and unique. It is done via foundational paper piecing. So this isn't the right project. The Christmas project that I have is English paper piecing that is done by hand. That is different than foundational paper piecing, which is done via sewing machine. And that is what this project will be. So I'm thinking of doing 1 block a week on that one. But we'll see, because getting fabric for that is going to be a pain in the butt, because it's 30 at minimum different blocks. Mine ended up being closer to, when I got it planned out and decided which blocks I was going to do, and the supplemental blocks around the side ended up being more like 40, 45 individual blocks that all call for different amounts of fabric and different colors of fabric, so I have to work out how much I need of what. And create like a little bit of a stash for that. That one will be difficult to kit up. It'll be the last thing I kit up, I think. But I'm excited for that. And I want to make a disclaimer on here. I know there are some people who absolutely have turned away from Harry Potter simply because of things that have been said by J.K. Rowling. I want to make it very clear that I do not support the things that J.K. Rowling has said. However, Harry Potter is something that is very, very important to me. It's very important to who I have become, and it very much developed me into the person I am. And there is something to be said about separating the author from the work, and the work itself still stands. So I want to make that very clear, that as I do work on Harry Potter stuff on this channel, it's because it is very important to me, but I do not support the things said by J.K. Rowling. With that being said, my plans for this coming month in July that I do have planned, I'll be starting Celtic Summer at the end of the month, like I said. My Star Wars piece is my full coverage focus, and that's all I really have planned, because Celtic Summer will take a week, my English paper piecing will take a week, and my Star Wars will take a week. And because of the vacation, that's all I really have time planned for next month. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I do still have some project bags available on my website if you are interested. My Etsy will be linked below. Please like the video if you liked, leave a comment, let me know how you're doing. I love to hear from you guys, I really do. Subscribe if you're interested in seeing my work. And let me clean up a little bit and I'll grab Indy and you can say hi. Hello. Indy says hi. She's full of energy. Hey, come here. She definitely has the puppy piling gene. She loves to be on top of you. It's like she's a lap dog, even though she's, we weighed her yesterday. She was like 37 pounds, I think. So she's getting big. She's really excited. You can hear her breathing. So she's 37 pounds. She's, actually, she'll be 6 months at the end of the month, on the 27th. So she's like 5.5 months. So she's still growing. She's getting darker in color, so she'll get more golden as her puppy fur falls out and sheds. So she's still very, very soft and cuddly. She's very wired, but we love her. Hey, stop it. Her nibbling has gotten better. She used to be a lot worse. But that's something we're working on training out of her. But she's very cute. No, don't chew on my hands. All right. Well, from Indy and I, bye, and we will see you maybe in July, maybe not. I might wait until August. I haven't fully decided. It'll depend on if I get a significant amount of progress done on anything and whether or not I was really able to do anything on vacation, because I don't know if I will. So have a great stitchy time and be safe and be happy, and I will see you next time.